Historically, people who talk about Kentucky's education system sometimes like to put us down here in Kentucky and indicate that we don't do well in education in Kentucky. Well, in fact, that has become part of the conventional wisdom, sort of an accepted narrative by many people. My friends, those people need to check the numbers because they are way out of date. Way out of date. That narrative is not only inaccurate, but I'm getting pretty tired of it. And it is time that people start reporting the facts. Today, we've got further proof from an independent, national, and a very tough source, one that relies on comprehensive research and current realities. For 17 years now, the publication Education Week, often called America's newspaper of record for its discussion and tracking of K-12 education issues, has published an annual assessment of key education indicators that grades the states, all 50 states, on policy efforts and outcomes. It's called the Quality Counts ranking. Now, year by year, Kentucky has moved up in that ranking. And 2 years ago, in 2011, Kentucky jumped 20 spots, all the way from a 34th rank to number 14 in the country. Today, we're proud to announce that this last year, 2012, Kentucky's moved up 4 more spots and now ranks 10th in the nation, according to Education Week. Now, Quality Counts 2013 examines a wide range of policies and performances grouped under 6 headings, including K-12 achievement, teacher development and standards, assessments, and accountability. On one level, it's a measure of current performance, how well our schools are doing, what they need to be doing. But it's also a measure of progress forward, or how aggressive Kentucky is acting to identify and attack weaknesses through policy development and implementation. As such, this report bolsters a new narrative for Kentucky, one that began 2 decades ago with Kara, of Kentucky as a national leader in education reform. Most of you have seen the Quality Counts report and Kentucky's rankings in various categories, so I'm not going to go through those in detail. And Kentucky Education Commissioner Terry Holliday and Secretary Joe Meyer are here to answer questions. But I want to highlight a few pieces of this report. Overall, Kentucky's score is a B-, which compares to the national average of a C+. But we received an A ranking and ranked 4th best in the country in a category called Transitions and Alignment. This is a measure of state efforts to connect K-12 schools with early learning, higher education, and the world of work. This reflects 2 priorities of mine: to get our youngest children off to a good start in life, and to make sure our high school graduates are prepared and ready for the next stage, whether that's college or the workplace. In another area, K-12 achievement, also called elementary and secondary performance, Kentucky earned a C-, which is 13th best in the country. Some of the subscores are even more exciting. For example, reading scores for both 4th graders and 8th graders rank 15th in the country. And we're improving faster than most other states. 3rd best in 4th grade math improvement, for example. Furthermore, while our high school graduation rates rank 27th, our improvement is 8th best in the country. I could go on and on about these statistics, but let me call attention to one last area, one that's not very flattering. In fact, it's a warning. It should be a clarion call for action here in Kentucky. And that's in the area of finance, or how well Kentucky is funding our schools. Overall, in that category, we earned a C- and ranked 34th in the country. Now, that doesn't sound terrible, but that score is inflated by our equity score, meaning that we do a good job of equally funding schools in various regions. But if you look at spending alone, we received an F, and a low F at that. When you look at per pupil spending, just 11.8% of our students are in districts whose funding matches or exceeds the national average. 11.8%. And yes, that's adjusted for regional cost differences. My friends, we've got a lot to celebrate here today as a result of this Quality Counts report. But think of how much progress we could be making if we were adequately funding our schools. Think of where we would be if we truly invested in our future. Yes, we did well in preserving basic classroom funding during the worst recession of our lifetimes, one that required 11 different budget reductions. Protecting education was and is my highest priority. And look at how well our educators have done under the most terrible of circumstances. But we're not going to move forward by flatlining classroom funding. We've spent 5 years bringing common sense and efficiency to state spending, and we'll continue to monitor our expenditures. But it's time that we also look at the revenue side to make sure we have a tax system that both fosters economic activity and grows our economy, and also allows us to invest in our people and in our workforce and in our schools. Today's report makes clear what Kentucky needs to do. Congratulations to our education leaders, our principals, our teachers, our school staff, our students, our boards, and the community leadership on this good report card. But as they say, there is a whole lot of room still for improvement in the Commonwealth of Kentucky. I want to first recognize that we have the chairs of the education committees in the House and the Senate here, Representative Rollins, Senator Wilson. I know they're as proud as I am of the progress we are making. And they also know that we continue to have big tasks ahead when it comes to improving the education for our children. And we are all committed, and I believe the whole legislature is committed to continuing to look at our education system and try to figure out how we can best move our state forward and get the kind of education for our children that they need to compete in the 21st century. I also want to congratulate two leaders over here on my far right, Commissioner Terry Holliday, Secretary Joe Meyer. They've done an outstanding job with the Department of Education, Commissioner in particular, who's directly in charge of that, works tirelessly for our children. He continues to push the envelope, which I want him to do, and I know that it is tough at times out there because we're doing things differently than we used to do, and we're moving faster than we used to do. But that's because we have to. We have to if we're really going to benefit the children of our state.